Have you ever watched a Senate hearing and thought, there's no way this can get any more intense, only for it to somehow get even worse? Because that's exactly what happened here. I had only seen a few short clips before sitting down to watch this exchange, and I knew it had something to do with the FBI, Senator Josh Hawley, and questions surrounding allegations against President Biden. But I wasn't expecting this level of confrontation. The moment Hawley started asking simple yes or no questions, things got very uncomfortable. Instead of getting direct answers, there were long explanations, qualifiers, and what many people would probably describe as bureaucratic word salads. The deeper the exchange went, the more I found myself wondering the same thing many Americans are probably asking. Why is it so difficult to get straightforward answers from one of the most powerful law enforcement agencies in the country? Before we break it all down, welcome back to The Political Brief, the channel where we cover the biggest political stories from a conservative perspective without the spin. If you believe government should answer to the people, not the other way around, make sure you subscribe, leave a like on this video, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read as many of them as I can, and I always enjoy seeing different viewpoints. Now, let's get into what just happened.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Hawley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Abadi, let me just stay with you. You just started to answer Senator Blackburn's question that not releasing the 1023 or talking about it as a matter of life and death. Question of life and death, you said. Explain.
It is potentially a question of life and death
For whom?
with regard to the source of the information.
So, okay, so now we've confirmed that the document exists. That's progress because the FBI director initially denied that it exists. Why did he do that?
We have already and previously acknowledged the existence of the documents.
Yeah, after you first denied it. Now, when a member of this committee read it, right, the FBI director, let's just get the record straight. The FBI director initially said it doesn't exist. Then Senator Grassley said, I've read it. Then he said, oh, okay, well, gotcha. I guess it does exist. Now you're going back and forth with members of this committee what's in it. Why don't you just release it? Is it classified?
The document is not classified.
Okay. Will you commit to releasing it?
Senator, we'll take that back and we will work with you in this committee.
How about just a yes or no? Will you commit to releasing this unclassified document that alleges that the President of the United States, has taken $5 million or more in bribes from a foreign nation?
The document has already been released pursuant to a subpoena to the House Oversight Committee.
Has it been released to this committee?
We'll work with this committee within the parameters that are established to meet the request.
Will you release the document to the public? It's unclassified. Don't you think the American people have a right to see it?
Senator, the document, as you know, contains sensitive information that has bearing on the life of the source of the information, potentially.
You can redact the source's name. We do this all the time.
In some instances, Senator, and I know you know this, that is not sufficient to protect people. And that's what we strive and work to do each and every day. And I hope you would take that seriously, too.
Oh, I take it very seriously. But I also take seriously the fact that your institution has repeatedly abused its authority, has repeatedly targeted political opponents. Your institution is the one that went to the door of pro-life protesters with SWAT teams to try and intimidate people because of their speech. Your institution is the one that treated parents as domestic terrorists because of their speech. Your institution is the one that, according to the court, the FISA court, ran 278,000 unwarranted, probably illegal queries on Americans, right? That was your institution, correct?
With respect to the compliance incidents, yes, some of the other things you cited, we can take them one by one. They are not.
Compliance, you would characterize the unlawful querying 278,000 times of American citizens as compliance issues?
We've said before, I've said that it's totally unacceptable.
Who's been fired for it?
Individuals involved are handled through the disciplinary process.
Who's been fired for it?
We have, in the case of the unintentional instance where something similar happened, we have fired people in the past.
Wait, I'm sorry. What does that word salad mean? The unintentional instance where what does that mean? Who's been fired for the 278,000 times that you improperly or illegally queried the database for American citizens? Anybody?
When we find intentional incidents,
Were you saying that the 278,000 queries were unintentional?
I believe that's correct.
Wow, 278,000 times American citizens' information was queried by your agency unintentionally? That's your testimony?
I would want to go back and check that, Senator. But
Well, that's what you just told me.
My understanding is that the vast majority of
Well, wait, that's different. You just said it was. You just said it was unintentional. Now it's the vast majority. Which is it? Do you know?
I would want to go back and check it.
So you don't know?
My understanding is that likely all were unintentional.
Likely all. So first it was all of them, then it was vast majority. Now it's likely all. So you don't know is the answer to the question.
I don't know the answer as we sit here today, but I will
Could have
find out
started
and I
with
will
that
get back to
probably.
you.
Who was fired for the lies to the FISA court for the Carter Page warrant? Who was fired for that? Anybody? Has anybody been held accountable for your institution deliberately lying to a FISA court to get a wiretap on an ongoing presidential campaign?
There is an ongoing disciplinary process with respect to individuals involved in that.
Here's the deal. You're back in front of us asking for the reauthorization of extraordinary authorities. Multiple courts have uncovered extraordinary abuses perpetrated by your agency. You are at the same time concealing information about serious allegations made against the President of the United States, even as your institution also targets his chief political opponent in an unprecedented way. Why would we ever give you the blank check that you want to continue surveilling American citizens in an improper manner? Why would we ever do that?
Senator, we're here to talk about reforms today. I did get confirmation that the query...
No, we're not. We're here to talk about the reauthorization of Section 702. Why would we reauthorize it, given your track record of abuse and illegal improper surveillance and political targeting? Why would we do that? Why would it be appropriate for this body to do that?
We've made significant reforms and implemented corrective measures. We've seen significant progress as a result of that, Senator. The queries that you mentioned early were, in fact, unintentional. That's what I was just told by my counterpart.
That is an amazing...
The earlier question.
So your testimony is the 280,000 queries of American citizens was unintentional. That's your final answer?
That's how they were assessed by that team that did the review. I'm not satisfied with that. That's why we've implemented further measures, as I announced earlier today.
Yeah, I don't believe that at all. And frankly, we've heard from your agency 1,000 times that you're going to do better, will do better. You promised after the abuses of Title I you'd do better, and then we find out that in the meantime you're illegally querying 280,000 American citizens' data. It's unbelievable, frankly. Everything you say is unbelievable.
Senator Tillis.
Right from the start, Senator Josh Hawley zeroed in on one issue that has been hanging over Washington for quite some time: the FBI's FD 1023 confidential informant document. For those who may not know, this document reportedly contains allegations made by a confidential source claiming that then Vice President Joe Biden was involved in a bribery scheme involving millions of dollars from a foreign national. It's important to remember that an allegation in an FBI document is not proof of guilt. An FD 1023 simply records what an informant told investigators. Whether those claims are verified is a separate question. But Hawley's argument wasn't about proving guilt during this hearing. His point was about transparency. What immediately caught my attention was Hawley pointing out that the FBI originally denied the existence of the document, only to later acknowledge it after members of Congress revealed they had already read it. That's a terrible look for an agency that expects the public to trust everything it says. Whether the initial response was a misunderstanding or not, it handed critics a huge opening. Then Hawley asked what should have been one of the simplest questions of the hearing. Is the document classified? The answer? No. Okay, then naturally the next question becomes, if it isn't classified, why can't the American people see it? Instead of saying yes or no, the FBI official argued that releasing it could endanger the confidential source. Now, protecting informants is obviously a legitimate responsibility. Confidential sources often put themselves at enormous risk, and there are situations where even removing names may not fully protect someone's identity. That's a real concern and shouldn't be dismissed. But Hawley pushed back by arguing that redactions are common practice. Congress, courts, and government agencies regularly release documents with names and identifying information removed. From his perspective, if the document truly raises questions about possible corruption involving the President of the United States, then the public interest in transparency is enormous. This is really where the broader debate begins. Conservatives have argued for years that transparency should apply equally regardless of political party. If allegations involve a Republican president, the media often spends months demanding every possible document become public. So naturally, many on the right ask why the same urgency seems absent when allegations involve Democrats. Then Hawley shifted into something even bigger than the FD 1023. He started listing controversy after controversy involving the FBI. He mentioned armed FBI operations against pro-life activists. He referenced the controversy surrounding parents being discussed in relation to threats at school board meetings. Then he moved to what has become one of the biggest black eyes for the Bureau, the FISA abuses. This is where the hearing really became uncomfortable. Hawley cited the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Courts, finding that FBI personnel conducted approximately 278,000 improper database queries involving Americans. That number alone is staggering. Whether every single one resulted in someone's privacy actually being violated is another discussion, but hearing 278,000 improper queries is enough to make almost anyone stop and pay attention. Then came the part that honestly surprised me. Hawley asked who had been fired. Simple question. The answer? No clear answer. Instead, there were references to disciplinary processes, reforms, corrective actions, and compliance reviews. If you've watched enough hearings in Washington, you've probably noticed this pattern. Congress asks who is held accountable. The agency answers by talking about policies. Congress asks again. The agency answers by talking about procedures. Eventually, everyone runs out of time, and the public is left without a clear answer. Whether you support the FBI or not, accountability matters. Americans expect that if government employees seriously misuse surveillance authorities, there should be consequences. That's not a partisan idea. It's basic public accountability. Then Hawley pressed the official on whether all those improper searches were intentional. The answer seemed to change multiple times. First, it sounded like they were unintentional. Then it became the vast majority. Then it became likely all. Then, finally, the official admitted he wasn't completely certain and had to check. That sequence gave Hawley even more ammunition. As someone watching this exchange, that's the kind of moment that damages credibility. If you're representing the FBI before Congress, you need to know the facts cold. When answers shift within minutes on an issue this significant, it naturally creates skepticism. The hearing also revisited the Carter Page surveillance controversy, where serious mistakes and misconduct surrounding FISA applications were identified years ago. That episode significantly damaged confidence in the FBI's use of surveillance authorities. Hawley's point was essentially this. You've promised reforms before, yet Congress continues to uncover additional problems. Why should lawmakers simply trust that everything is fixed this time? And honestly, that's the central question hanging over this entire hearing. Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act is an incredibly powerful intelligence tool. Supporters argue it is essential for tracking foreign threats, preventing terrorism, and gathering intelligence on hostile governments. Many national security officials say losing it would seriously weaken America's ability to stop attacks. At the same time, critics from both parties have warned that information collected under these authorities has repeatedly been accessed improperly when Americans were involved. That's why debates over reform have become so heated. As a conservative, I absolutely believe America needs strong intelligence capabilities. We live in a dangerous world with real threats from China, Russia, Iran, terrorist organizations, cybercriminals, and foreign espionage. We can't simply eliminate every surveillance authority and pretend those threats disappear. But strength without accountability is dangerous. Conservatives have always argued that government power should come with limits. The Constitution wasn't written because the Founding Fathers trusted government. It was written because they understood government would always need checks and balances. When agencies repeatedly ask Congress to renew extraordinary powers while facing questions about past mistakes, it's reasonable for lawmakers to demand stronger safeguards. That doesn't mean every FBI employee is corrupt. It doesn't mean every investigation is politically motivated. It also doesn't mean every allegation made in an informant report is automatically true. But it does mean public trust has to be earned, not demanded. One thing I think many Americans are tired of is watching officials avoid direct questions. Whether you're Republican, Democrat, or independent, people expect honesty from institutions that wield immense authority. If an answer is yes, say yes. If it's no, say no. If you don't know, say you don't know. Trying to talk around simple questions often creates even more suspicion. Watching this exchange, it felt like Hawley understood that frustration and leaned into it. He wasn't just speaking to the official across the table. He was speaking to millions of Americans who believe Washington, too, often protects itself instead of providing clear answers. Now, to be fair, congressional hearings are inherently political. Senators use them to make arguments, score points, and advocate for their positions. Agency officials, meanwhile, often have legal and operational reasons for being cautious about what they disclose publicly. That's part of the dynamic. But viewers can judge for themselves whether the answers address the questions. One thing is certain: debates over government transparency, surveillance powers, and public accountability are not going away anytime soon. The decisions Congress makes about authorities like Section 702 will affect how intelligence agencies operate for years to come, and Americans deserve a full and informed debate about the balance between national security and civil liberties. After watching this hearing, I think the biggest takeaway isn't simply about one document or one statistic. It's about trust. Once public confidence in institutions begins to erode, rebuilding it is incredibly difficult. Transparency, accountability, and consistent standards are essential if agencies expect the American people to have confidence in them. But I want to hear from you. Do you think Senator Hawley exposed serious problems that still haven't been addressed? Or do you think the FBI's explanations were reasonable given the need to protect investigations and confidential sources? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more conservative analysis of the biggest stories shaping America, don't forget to subscribe to The Political Brief. Give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who wants to stay informed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.